The Teen Phantom Part 26 in audio. Jim and Charlotte are in the truck ready to leave when Carol speaks. "I will be going to your school this fall, Charlotte. My parents will need to tie me up and gag me to get me back in public school. I may throw a fit that will drive them insane. I will if it is needed." As the truck begins to move ahead, Carol speaks again. "I will see you in church, Charlotte." What did she mean by that, Jim? She wants me to take her to your church tomorrow. She is a very determined and happy girl. Yes, she is, Charlotte. Not far out of town, Jim pulls over into a rest area and says, "I would like to talk a little and I should not drive while we do. I must speak to you about our ordeal with Jake." "I am so sorry, Jim, it has troubled me ever since." "No, Charlotte, I am the one to be apologizing. I am very sorry for letting you carry for so long the stress of feeling that you humiliated me because you didn't. If you had not performed as you did, I would have killed Jake." As Charlotte looks at Jim, she feels as if all the blood has left her body. "What's wrong, Charlotte? Are you going to be all right? I did not expect it to scare you like this." She stares at her shoes with the thought of Jim killing Jake. "Charlotte, I was in need of the lesson you taught me. I marvel at your kindness, consideration for the ignorant, those unaware of life itself, and the self-control to refrain from revenge. You have love that makes it possible to deal with misgivings of others with patience and courage that death alone can take from you. The way you see death, death itself, will be shorted its victory, it will fail to sever you from yours. I would have faced anything that came. I would die for you, Charlotte. Since I met you, I have trained in a hardcore defense system. It scares me now to think of what I might have done to Jake. I want you to quit thinking you did something terrible to me, because you didn't. You saved me from a terrible disaster. I know no words that could express my gratefulness." Charlotte sits there with tears running down her face. She is unable to speak, but she does not fall apart as she has in the past. She finally pulls herself together. "Jim is having emotional problems also. I understand, Jim. I feel so much better knowing the facts and knowing how you feel about the nightmare in the forest. I should have known something had happened to you from the way you held Nikki up to retrieve the knife. Your openness has given me great peace." Jim and Charlotte have a pleasant visit on their way home. As they head up the drive, Jim starts telling Charlotte about Carol. "Carol said she was very angry, but not as much as she hurt when she realized you were the Chapman kid. Then she became very confused because of the love she felt from you. After you spoke to her as you did, she said all of the anger and hurt disappeared. Then she felt love for you that she had never experienced before toward anyone. She told me that I could not keep myself from loving you very much. She had no jealous feelings. It made her feel very close to me. She said she knew the teen phantom and it would remain a secret. She said it is not a boy as most think." When they get to Charlotte's place, Jim walks her to the door. He gives her a loving hug and speaks in a very soft and kind voice. "I am very grateful for what you did for Carol, Charlotte. I know you are. It makes me very happy, Jim. The three of us are very close." Charlotte then turns, putting in the code. She enters the calm and security of her home. She retire early. She knew tomorrow would be a very hectic day. She is in bed relaxing to some music when Mello calls. "This is Charlotte." "Yes, it even sounds like her. I am just calling to make sure you got the message from Jim about the breakfast and the language class in the morning." "Yes, I did. I am looking forward to it. The buggy will be waiting. Will you mind coming alone?" "That would be fine, but I do not know how to operate it." "Just tell it what you want it to do and it will perform." "I have retired early. I am in bed listening to my music." "I have retired also. Jane and Nikki are staying here at my place tonight. I doubt that they have retired yet. Sis is showing them around. I have never seen anyone enjoy Sis as Jane does, and Nikki and Jane are like sisters. Lee is staying over also." "That makes me very happy. Nikki is truly family." "Sweet dreams, Mello." Good night, Charlotte. When morning comes, Charlotte wakes with added vigor. It brings her to the buggy early. When she makes her way to the buggy, she is very surprised when she sees Grandpa is sitting in it. Isn't it a lovely morning, Sasha? It truly is, Grandpa. He appears to be concerned at her statement. Would you rather I not call you Grandpa? Grandpa is fine, Sasha, but how did you know? How did I know what? That I am your great-grandfather. You are. Yes, you are my great-granddaughter. Does Mello know? I don't know that he does. I told him he had to share you with me. He thought it very strange, but I told him you had given me more life than my real grandparents had. After Grandpa has told Charlotte how it all came about, she expresses her surprise and delight. Then she changes the subject. Mello tricked me. He said I would need to come alone. No, I tricked you both. He does not know I am here. Grandpa hands Charlotte a cell phone like Mello carries. He speaks with a smile. This is yours. Your father asked me to give it to you and to explain all of its different functions. After he explains all of the functions of the cell phone, he tells Charlotte some more history of her ancestors. It is very interesting, but shocking to Charlotte. When they get to his place that he calls the secluded sanctuary, they go into the library and he shows her a map of the whole layout. It is huge. He takes her into the underground greenhouse and it is awesome. He showed her how to get where she wanted to go and how to open doors that are not there. They are not visible anyway. It is all with her cell phone. He also reveals the mini monorail that connects their two underground domains together. They cut it short to avoid being late for class, which is before breakfast. When they enter the classroom, Mello looks shocked. I couldn't figure out where you were, Grandpa. Where did the two of you find each other? I found Grandpa in the forest. He was sitting in the buggy waiting for me. Charlotte attempts to introduce Jane to Grandpa. She just stares at Charlotte for a few seconds, then she looks embarrassed. I am sorry for staring. I thought you reminded me of someone that I knew. It is me, your little sister. I realize that now. I just had to get a better look at your face and look into those eyes of yours. You are so neat. Meet our great-grandfather, Albert Troy Stewart. They say their greeting, then Jane with a faraway look stares at Charlotte. I thought all our grandparents were dead. That is why I adopted us one. Grandpa smiled so big Charlotte was afraid he was going to laugh, then he did. They make themselves comfortable in large recliners. Mello, Little Love, and Grandpa begin to speak to each other in Chinese. They put headphones on them and attach little lead wires to different parts of their head. The sound begins. It is Oriental music with Chinese phrases, then the interpretation, in English. After an hour and a half it all stops and is very quiet except the Chinese phrases that are still going on in Charlotte's head. Eventually, those phrases fade out. As they leave to go for breakfast, Mello speaks. Speak Chinese every chance you get when you are with someone. Their Chinese breakfast included the Chinese language. After breakfast, Grandpa insists on taking Charlotte back home. He doesn't want to miss such a good chance to visit with Charlotte. The buggy surges ahead and Grandpa looks at Charlotte with concern. What do you think of all the world's problems? I realize many disagree with the United States' involvement with the problems of the Mideast. The United States does not actually have a choice. It is as necessary as all other acts of massive power of world history. It is not an issue of right or wrong. Our great creator is in control. Some have foreseen the crisis, they have for quite some time, and the Mideast has been a monstrous time bomb. It has just waited for the time to explode. Hostile religions have been at war for century on end. One vital lesson the world should learn is that religion is not the answer to human peaceful coexistence. It is in reverse. Religion is responsible for most wars in the Mideast. Though religion has helped to shape the world as it is today, it is a primitive way of thinking. Facts and truth needs no wall around it to protect it. It has all the power that exists, lies, and ignorance needs a wall of protection. Make no mistake, fact and truth is sly, obscure, subtle, tricky, and devastating. Sometimes, in many ways, truth, the adherence to it, the love, and honor for it is this earth's liberation, deliverance, and its life. The Mideast problems could appear to be the same, or as compared to, the United States Civil War. Contrary to that understanding, the Civil War was not over religion, nor was it to free the slaves, it was to keep the states together to form the two-horned beast, which it speaks of in Revelation, to give power to the image, which is the New World Order, or the one world government of this time. The freeing of slaves was only a fringe benefit, it gave the Union soldier emotional zeal, a more realistic reason to fight. The freeing of slaves was only a hypocritical show of mercy, equality, and justice. There are many ways to enslave people. Perhaps some of the slaves in the South were better off than the slaves who consider themselves free in the third world countries. I speak of the ones that produce the goods for the world today. At least the slaves of the South had good clean air to breathe. Of course it may be more honorable to die from pollution, than to be beat to death. Of course those slaves in the third world countries do consider themselves free. Cruel oppression can be much worse than slavery. I must not support a cause that is contrary to my principle. It does not limit my understanding, that it must be done. However, I must not take part. Our great Creator has a plan, even though I do not totally understand the plan. Would it be okay to change the subject, Grandpa? Yes, Sasha, your concept has been enlightening. Your answer was honest and straightforward. I am very pleased. I would like to know something that maybe I should not learn from you. Does Little Lightning have a hollow tree house? So you have come across Little Lightning, have you? It would please him for me to answering that. I know he would enjoy showing you through it. It is fantastic. It is as real as anything could possibly be, though it is very rustic. It is extremely modern. It is almost as elusive as he is. Grandpa and Charlotte have a nice visit. He discloses many mysteries that astonish Charlotte. He even tells her all about Sarah, the little orphan girl, and in detail he tells the fantastic story about her ancestors on her mother's side. When Charlotte gets home, she finds her mother in the living room. She sits in a recliner looking very relaxed until she focuses in on Charlotte. "This is a wonderful day, Mom. Are you ready to go to church?" Her mother stares at her with shock and a puzzled look. "It is me, Mom. I realize it is you. When did you start dressing like that? That outfit must have cost as much as any of mine." "I doubt that it did. I made everything except the hat. I probably paid a little more for the hat than I wanted to. I have dressed like this for quite some time." "I suppose on your trips around the world?" "I do not know that I have made any trips around the world. I dress like this when I make trips overseas. I wore this particular one once when I went to Alaska. It is really too warm to wear in a hot climate." "It is hard for me to believe you made that. It looks as expensive as any of my outfits." "Beth helped me." "Beth, is she a professional seamstress?" "Yes, I think so. Anyway, if it was not for her knowledge and help, I would not have attempted the task." "You really do look nice, Sasha." "I think I will pass. I do not care for dressing up like this, but under the circumstances I thought I should." Charlotte's mother looks at her with concern, and then a pleasant smile. "I don't know my little girl very well, do I?" "About as well as I know my mother, perhaps," and she returned the smile. "Yes, I am ready for church, but it is early and I need to talk to you about some things, and I would feel better about it here rather than in the car." "That will be just fine."